What are things that people need to do before they even think about advertising?
If you don't have a way that you can predictably put in $1 and get back at least $1.50, $2, then you should not even start. And I always say, if you cannot make it work on paper, you cannot make it work in the real world.
Hi, welcome to Speaker Life, and you might have noticed that I'm in a new studio. My dear friend Matt Leitz of BotBuilders. Ours is under renovation right now, and he was kind enough to let me come in and talk to you because one of the questions I get all the time is, how do I do ads on social media? Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hey, so glad to be here. We're going to talk about ads.
We are going to talk about ads.
I love that. Let's do it. I love it.
First of all, I want to learn how to do ads, and I know so many people that have lost their shirts. And I've heard your take. I watched one of his webinars on Facebook ads, you guys. It's really a great webinar. You don't talk about split testing the way everybody else does. And I really want to talk about that.
Interesting. So when it comes to ads, I mean, there's really only a couple platforms that most people are going to run on. They're going to run on Meta,
right,
which is Facebook and Instagram, or Google, right, which is probably YouTube. And I think that it's so common for people to run split tests on Facebook and on Instagram. And the problem with that is these are social platforms. And we've all scrolled and we've seen ads that have 2 or 3 likes. And what do? You keep scrolling past it. So we don't like to split test a lot of different versions on Meta. All right. We only like to test versions that we are confident will win. And the way that we do that is we will, let's just say we have an ad, and from that ad, we'll make maybe 8 versions. Like we might make 4 hooks, right? Which is, if you run any ads, that's the most important part, the first 3 seconds. And then 1 body, and then maybe like 3 call to actions or whatever it might be. And we'll run that test, all those ads, on YouTube first. And the reason for that is there's no social component on YouTube. It just runs, but there's no likes, there's no comments. So from that, we'll figure out, okay, of these 8 versions, which one is the best? Then we'll take the best one and we'll run that on Facebook. And we do that because if you'd have had 8 versions on Facebook, they wouldn't have gotten much traction. But having the best, you kind of know it's going to work. And then furthermore, what we do is when we run that ad on Facebook, we start it out not as a conversion-based ad, right? So the goal won't be to get leads or to get sales. The goal initially will be engagement. So you run your ad first as an engagement campaign, and what that does is it'll get a bunch of likes, get a bunch of comments, and then once it's rolling, then you run that same ad with all the same social proof, and you turn it into a conversion ad that's going to get leads or going to get sales, and it's already got that momentum and people going, oh, this must be cool. And that's how when you see one of our ads, a lot of times it'll have 10,000 or 20,000 likes, because we've only ran the best ads, and then we've made sure that we have that social proof before we spend big money on it.
Well, and that's so important because I know people that have spent tens of thousands of dollars and crickets. They don't convert. How do you, before you even do an ad campaign, what do you need to know first?
Great question. The reality of it is most ads don't fail because of the ad. Most ads fail because they don't have an offer on the other side that converts. And the truth of the matter is you could have a great offer and mediocre advertising and become wealthy. Or at the same time, you can have a mediocre offer and great advertising and you'll be flat broke. So you have to take care of the conversion part. A lot of times people will put the cart before the horse. You got to make sure that the conversion is in place and ready to rock before you run ads. So if you're running advertisements, a lot of this comes down to the mindset before you go into it. So if you've spent tens of thousands of dollars and lost your shirt, then the reality of it is you might have spent too much. Because when you start testing an offer to ads, it might not be a home run and probably won't be a home run at first. That's just the way that it is. Like so many times that, you'll start, but if you're not getting a sign of life, then stop. Quit burning through the money, because you could have the greatest ad in the world and it's not going to work. But if you run an ad and it gets, hey, we got some sales coming in, and more likely, depending on what you sell, everything is going to be a little bit different. you probably aren't going to start with the goal of the ad to make sales, depending on what you sell. Like if you sell something that's $5, that's much different than if you sell something that's $20,000.
Right.
So the challenge is the ad campaigns are only going to be as good as the data that gets sent back to the ad campaign.
Right.
Okay, I know I'm getting technical, but this is the stuff that people need to know.
They do.
So when you run an ad, the first thing you do is you install your pixel, your little tracking code, and that's the thing that tells the ad platforms, hey, this is good. We want more people like this. And the challenge is if you sell something for $2,000 and your objective is sales, the problem is if you spend $2,000 and you don't get any sales, then the ad platform has gotten zero data. There's been zero events, zero conversions have gone back. So therefore, it doesn't know what to do, and it's just floundering and looking around. So much like I told you to start with an engagement campaign just to get people going, then maybe run a lead campaign.
Okay.
And
what's a good price point for that?
For price point in terms of what you're willing to pay for a lead?
No.
Okay.
Like, what should the offer be? Starting out, like, say, a new speaker or a new coaching program, what's a good place to start?
Okay, this is going to be a doozy. I'm going to have to go into this because this is more important than any of the stuff. All the tricks in the world on ads do not mean a thing unless you have this crystal clear. The real answer is there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. Okay. The most important thing is that it will never work in the real world unless it will work on paper. Okay. There's multiple ways to approach this thing. One approach is to go straight for the high ticket. And you might do that by having an application funnel or something where you're getting a lead and then you're making a phone call and then making a sale. Okay. So what you have to understand about that is you're collecting zero money up front until you make the sale. Now, that could be a good thing if you've got a good sales team or if you yourself are good at sales or whatever that might be. But another approach is to have kind of a mid-ticket, if you will, like a webinar. And this is the approach that we prefer and that we work with clients. We often help them do.
I was on one of those webinars. That's how we met.
Right, exactly. So what will happen is we'll spend money on advertisement and we might not make all of our money back. And that's one of the hard pills for people to swallow is, we might have a day. We spent over 50 grand the other day, right? Which is the first time that we hit that threshold. But we'll regularly spend at least $25,000 a day. But often we won't get that money back. So what will happen is we've recouped a certain percent. Like if let's just say we make 70 or 80% of our money back, then the other 20%, we just consider that to be the cost of the lead.
Right.
Right. And you just think about how the first model that I explained, which was you're advertising just to get a lead.
Right.
And then the only sale that you make is if you're on the phone or on Zoom or whatever.
Your
selling
bigger
the high
ticket items.
Yep. The kind of the mid-ticket, if you have a webinar, you're recouping as much as you can. And you can make, Grant Cardone has ran some very profitable webinars. We've been profitable immediately, but you might lose a little bit of money and then you have the back end. And then another model might be to sell a low ticket item. So you'll have more leads, more buyers, right? If you sell something for $7, you're going to get more buyers than if you sell something for $1,000.
Right.
But the quality of those buyers is not going to be as high as if they were to join a webinar and they're bought in and they've made an investment, but you'll have more of them.
Yes.
Okay. So it really comes down to what do you have to work with? What's your skill set? And then ultimately, if you were to just sit down and pencil it all on paper, what's going to make the most mathematical sense?
I got it. Well, Russell Brunson says this, and I love this, that you have different, different buckets of people. You have the people that you own, which you have them in your email list. You have the people that you earn, which is social media, and the people that you buy, and that's through ads. And I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted your take on that.
Well, it's...
How many people do you need to have in your email list to start an ad campaign?
To start, zero.
Oh, really?
We all have to start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere. So the very first thing that I do is figure out what that offer is. Okay. The second thing that I do is create an experience so that when they join your list, they're getting to know you, okay? Because you might do an application, you might do a webinar, you might do a low-ticket product, but regardless, you're getting now people on your list.
Right.
If you've got zero, you've got zero. You got to start somewhere. But as soon as they hit your list, you need to have an email autoresponder set up and maybe a text message autoresponder as well so that they can get to know you, right? So mapping out that autoresponder, it's really not as hard, especially now with AI.
Right.
You know, I mean, we have a tool that literally you can write a welcome email sequence in less than 2 minutes.
Right.
Right. Now, is it as, I mean, the reality of it is now AI is probably a better writer than many
Most
of us
people,
are.
yeah.
But getting those pieces into place, don't even worry about the advertising. And I know that's what you want to talk about, but I think the number one mistake that people make is they advertise when they shouldn't be advertising. Because if you don't have the capability to take that person into your world, get them to know you, pull out their credit card, want to buy from you, and then potentially buy something bigger from you, then you're going to lose.
Right.
And all the money is just going to Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and all these guys. Like they don't need it. So just make sure that you're ready and you've got the capability to convert the traffic into dollars.
So what are 3 things our viewing audience needs to have in place before they run their first ad, whether it be on YouTube or X or...
Number 1 is a great funnel.
Okay.
And again, that could be an application. It could be a webinar. It could be a low ticket, whatever that is. All right. Number 2 is automation, right? So you need the automated emails, the automated text messages. If they were to apply for your program or attend a meeting or miss a meeting or whatever those things are, when things are happening in the real world, what are the automations that are happening? And then number 3 is the ability to convert to sell. Okay. So you've got to have, no matter what you sell, whether it's on a webinar or low ticket or whatever, you've got to have something bigger to sell behind it. And I say that not only because you want to make more money, but the way that you're going to serve your people is to really like give them, whether it's the coaching or consulting or a done for you or whatever that thing is. Because if you have those 3 pieces, then you're ready to spend some advertising dollars.
I love that. But can we dive a little bit deeper on that?
Sure.
What are things that people need to do before they even think about advertising?
If you don't have a way that you can predictably put in $1 and get back at least $1.50, $2, then you should not even start. And I always say, if you cannot make it work on paper, you cannot make it work in the real world. So what they should do is pull out a whiteboard, pull out a notebook, and just pencil it all out and go, okay, well, if 20% of the people that land on this page registered and 50% show up, and then 5% of the people show up buy, and then 10% of those people upgrade to my bigger program, like just map that all out. And until you've got all of those pieces in place, don't spend $1, like not even 10 cents. It's just a total waste. And then when you do get to that point where you're ready to advertise, realize that there's a lot more to the mental game of advertising that I think people really recognize, because you've got to, first of all, have a certain amount of money. You know, it's kind of like you go out to the blackjack table at Vegas, right? You're not going to just, bring, your credit card and, your mortgage statement. I mean, you got to know, okay, this is what I've got. This is what I'm working with. And understand that when you're playing the advertising game, it's kind of like a venture capitalist might invest in 10 different companies and one of them is a home run. It's the same way with ads. When you look at our advertisements right now, we have 1 or 2 that do the vast majority of the volume. And then we have 3 or 4 we might run beyond that. But we've made so many ads. So a lot of what advertising comes down to is get an idea, create the ad, run it. Is it a winner or is it a loser? And the reality of it is there's no sort of in between. That's what you've got to recognize.
Don't keep throwing money on the table.
Right? Yes. If it's a winner, go all in. If it's a loser, stop. And you got to give yourself, I think sometimes people are so timid they don't give themselves a chance to find out if it's a winner or a loser.
How long? That's a good question. How long do they give an ad?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the amount of time, it's more of the amount of money.
Okay.
And what's tricky is it kind of depends on what you sell.
Yeah.
So if you sell a program that's $10,000 and you spend $100, it's hard to know if you've given it a good, true, right? But if you've burned through $10,000 and you haven't come close to a sale, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of figuring out that balance. It's not so much as science as it is an art.
Right.
And you know, as you grow, you're going to want to, you just don't want to waste the time. You'd rather just test something a little bit more aggressively, find out if it works. But I think that the rule that they tell you is never spend more than twice the amount of what the value of a conversion on ads before you pull the plug.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what can you tell our viewing audience, because we have some that are new, the difference between an advertising and a boosting a post?
They're both kind of ads. The difference is a boost is just, it'll just pop up after you post and it's very easy. There's not a ton of controls to it, but it's just a very easy way to get your post to be seen more. It's not that dissimilar to running ads, but the difference is you go into the actual ad panel to run a traditional ad and there's a lot more options.
Gotcha. Now, if you do a boost and it just takes off, is that something that you should convert into an ad?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if anything works, just do more of it is the biggest thing. So I've never once in my life heard of a boosted post taking off. I don't know, you know, it might happen. I haven't had one
take off.
Yeah, but it's just, I've never seen that happen. So the thing is if you've got a post and you want to just get more views on that post, just boost it because it's quick and it's easy and it's not a big deal. But if you make an ad very intentionally, like, hey, the goal of this ad is to get them to sign up for a webinar, the goal of this ad is to get them to apply for my program, then don't waste your time boosting it. Just go straight to the ad panel and run it as an ad.
Now, Matt, you actually do a webinar on ads. Can we tell our viewing audience about this so they can join your webinar?
Yeah, and ads is just one of the things that we cover. But
I know, you have a lot of things you cover.
Yeah, it's if you go to webclass.ai, we just basically take people, at this point, just about everybody's used AI or has dabbled, but they're just like, how do I actually get a tangible result from this?
Right.
And one of the things that we cover are the different tools that we've used to make a lot of the fun ads that people enjoy. So if you go to webclass.ai, it's totally free. And in an hour, you'll know what you need to know to, you know, be dangerous enough to go out and make it happen.
Wow. Well, there you have it, you guys. Matt, thank you so much. Not only for being on the show, but for letting us use your amazing studio.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Really enjoy. And even though I'm trying to, you know, help people, you know, be ready for ads, you shouldn't be scared of them. And you need to recognize the fact that it's a game worth winning. And when you do win with ads, you can scale quickly. And it's been, you know, even though I don't have the social presence or social following, it's been the way that we've been able to consistently double our sales year in and year out. We'd never been able to do it if we wouldn't have taken the time to learn the advertising game. So do it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
This has been Leah Woodford with Speaker Life. Thanks for watching.